Well, tonight, lawmakers responding to our national team's investigation on the impact of public defender shortages across the country, which uncovered hundreds of people accused of crimes with no legal representation. Andy Periotti breaks down new proposed federal legislation that could help and why one Georgia legislator has lost confidence in his state's office in charge of public defense.
People accused of crime stuck in jail with no legal representation across the country. From Georgia.
He has no help. He has no one to turn to.
To Oregon.
And it's eroding the trust in our system. That's dangerous.
And Wisconsin.
Your right to have that representation there, and it was essentially taken away from him.
Nearly every state impacted by shortages in public defenders. Legal representation provided to those who cannot afford an attorney. A right protected under the Sixth Amendment of the Constitution, no longer fulfilled as promised. An issue Congresswoman Suzanne Bonamici from Oregon knows well. Judges in her district have dismissed hundreds of felony criminal cases due to the shortage this year.
It really concerns me that our court system cannot operate as it should because there aren't enough public defenders.
To address the shortage, the Congresswoman filed a bill this past November that could fund up to $250 million of grants to state public defender offices. The legislation also calls for up to $75 million in student loan reimbursement and pay equity with prosecutors.
People who are working in district attorney's offices and prosecuting crimes are making more than people who are defending. So the pay disparities there, we need to have programs that encourage people to go into the important work of defense.
In Georgia, some lawmakers are pledging to compel its state to provide more information on caseloads, staffing numbers, and legislative solutions. This after Investigate TV uncovered hundreds of people charged with crimes with no legal representation over the past year, some languishing behind bars for months. State Representative Josh McLaurin says the blame lies on the Georgia Public Defenders Council, the agency in charge of finding lawyers for indigent defendants.
It's one thing to just be incompetent and be unable to manage the pressures at your agency. Yeah. It's another thing to not care. And I think really meaningful oversight would answer those questions.
This week, the Georgia Association of Criminal Defense Lawyers calling the public defender shortage a travesty of constitutional proportion. Representative McLaurin doesn't think the council's director, Amateo Ali, is fit to lead the agency.
I don't. The number of reports about her and the quality of those reports has been overwhelming. It seems to be that there's a broad consensus that she is at best indifferent to whether public defense is effective and funded enough in this state.
And to me,
Republican Governor Brian Kemp, who appointed Ali, stands by the director, emailing, "We fully expect the improvements she has implemented to continue." The search for solutions to fix a problem plaguing the judicial system, violating the rights of those accused of crimes.
This is not a partisan issue, that the Constitution has a right to counsel in a criminal case. It's not a partisan issue that everyone wants the court system to be working as it should.
While national public defender advocacy groups support Bonamici's bill, they worry that $250 million not enough. Some state public defender annual budgets are more than the total funds the bill calls for. Despite our findings, the director of Georgia's Public Defenders Council claims her agency has enough attorneys to represent indigent defendants. You can watch this full interview with her in the story on investigatetv.com.